KFIZ News Time, 8:11. Good morning to you, and welcome to this week's edition of Landscape Smart, brought to you by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. Present in the studio, live, at least I think you are, it's Ron Rademann.
Half alive at least, huh?
Well, mostly alive.
Right.
Mostly alive. Good to see you. And Master Gardener Delores tippy-toeing in. Good to see you as well.
Thank you.
We were just debating if you were going to show. You got stuck by a train.
Yeah, right.
We never had a doubt.
Anyhow, lines are open, 923-1450, 1-888-900-1450. Give us a call. You can also email your questions to kfizstudio@gmail.com. Strongly urge you to do it before 8:57. Last week we got a question came. You may send it at 8:57, but we don't necessarily get it at 8:57. Didn't see it until the show was done. It was like about the closing comments were on, and that must be when it came in. So get them in early. It's kfizstudio@gmail.com. So what's happening? You're not open yet today, I'm assuming.
Is this the wrong one?
I don't know. Not working? Oh, okay. Then I won't talk. Then you don't have to miss anything. I don't know. I'll play with that when Ron's telling us about them not being open today.
Sure. Well, Rademann's not open yet on Saturdays. I'm not sure. We might be open next Saturday. It's supposed to start getting pretty nice. We've got a little winter here yet for the first half of the week, and then, then as we go forward into later in the week and early next week, it looks a little like it's like spring is going to finally come. We got 60s coming for later on next week at least, so that'll be kind of get us into the right mode. But yeah, Rademann's not open today, and like I said, I'm unsure yet about next Saturday. You have to tune in to find out. So,
we are at the point where Delores will have us repeat questions because I can't get those headphones to work.
All right. Well,
But we'll do what we have to do.
We'll figure it out.
No problem.
At least you can hear us talk live.
Right.
So,
Yep.
go ahead. You're on. You want to try? You want to answer that question that came in late, or Delores maybe?
Well, the question that came in late last Saturday morning, it says, is it too late to trim back clematis?
Ooh.
And I would say, nothing is really starting to grow with clematis yet at this point in time. So
Not at my house.
Yeah,
There are several different kinds of clematis, so we really need to know which one it is and when to trim it.
For the most part, we're at a time of year where you could trim most anything yet right now.
Right.
That would be the short answer to the question. Some of the, especially summer flowering plants like clematis, there you want to trim them back so that you encourage more new growth. And of course, the more new growth you get, the more flowers you get. And
Right.
On summer flowering plants like that, you'd want to be a little, keeping in mind that if it's a spring flowering plant, if you trim now, you're going to cut all the flowers off. So, but
Right,
clematis, you'd be
right.
in good shape yet now.
But shrubs that bloom in the spring, you'd be ruining them for any blooms this year.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes you got to kind of pick your poison, so to speak. You have to do a little trimming, or it's you trim them when you can see what you're doing. Once they start growing in summer, then you don't lose the flowers, but it makes it a little more difficult to trim. So even the spring flowering, I do a little trimming on my lilac, and
I have shrubs that are close to the home that grew late in the fall, and so they have some branches that are too close and hit the house in the wind. So I trim them back. I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just it. If you're if you are trimming your, let's stick with the lilacs, for example, since that is probably the most common early spring flowering plant. There, if you're trimming out 10% or something like that, you're still going to get 90% of the flowers. So, I still do a little trimming on mine before, out of season, let's just say right now, and then I'll touch it up one more time after it flowers. So
Right, especially the first month after it flowers, you want to get it quick because otherwise you're going to be cutting off next year's blooms.
right.
If you're going to cut out some of the older wood in an old lilac, would you do that after blooming? Could you do it then? Or is that a bad time? Should you wait till fall?
Well, if you start trimming some of the older, larger stems out of lilacs, you're definitely going to be taking some of the flowers out. But, I kind of, again, I do it for the better health of the plant. I'll take out those larger stems, even if I do sacrifice some of the flowers. My lilac is I don't know, 30 or 35 years old. It's young for a lilac, but old at the same time. So I still get plenty of blossoms, plenty of flowers. So I took some larger branches out here in the winter, and that way I can get some more new, younger shoots.
So if you take
back
it out
in.
now, you'll get some new growth.
Right. Yep. Because it's going to push back. The root system is all still there, and there's less to feed, so it'll push out some strong new growth once it does start growing. But I'm going to only have, a third less flowers this year because I took some pretty good sized branches out of mine.
Yeah, I got some that are probably an inch in diameter.
Well, and I took a couple branches out of mine that were about 3 inches in diameter.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
and it just needed it so bad because I had kind of been stalling off on this for quite a few years. And finally I thought, well, I'm just going to bite the bullet this year
And do it.
And then sacrifice this year's flowers. I mean, I'll still get some because there's 2/3 of the plant is still there, but I'm going to be missing out on 1/3 of it.
But it grows pretty quickly, so that'll
It'll grow
recover.
and fill in, and then next year I'll have twice as many flowers as what I had last year is the goal.
923-1450 is the number, 923-1450 or 1-888-900-1450 for outlying areas, or KFIZ studio at gmail.com. Numbers are available, computers available, and we're going to take our first break before we get our first question.
That sounds like a good idea. Rademann's, as we said earlier, not open today. We will be, we are open Monday through Friday, of course, till 4 o'clock. We'll be moving into spring and summer hours here real quick, so we'll talk about that next Saturday. But just 3 miles south of Fond du Lac, east on County B, just off 41.
KFIZ News Time 822. We are back, 923-1450. And a reminder, we can only take one call at a time and can't answer the phone off the air, so we just end up pushing the button and you just got to hold until we get to you because we lost a couple of calls, and that's another one that hung up. 923-1450. Be glad to take your call right now. Ring back in, and we have one here. Go ahead. You are on the air.
Good morning. I needed to shut the radio off.
Aha. Okay.
I was trying to call, and you explained why we couldn't get through.
That is the reason. It's a brand new phone system when we went to the new building, and it's just the newest, greatest invention, except we can't do what we used to do.
Sometimes older is better.
Thank you.
I would agree.
I appreciate that.
Yes. No. Please. So my question is for Ron. Actually, anybody can answer. But so I have some Mugo pines, and and I have a berm with stone. Ron, you've been to my home in Fond du Lac. You planted some pine trees in my backyard, so my lot's kind of wooded. But my question, these Mugo pines, because we've had drier summers, I've gone out and watered them regularly, but they're not making it through the winter. I planted 2 new ones last year. I have to plant new ones again if I want to plant that in there, because it seems every year I'm transplanting different ones because they don't make it. There's 5 of them. So any suggestions of what I could plant there, or should I just not plant anything and leave it?
I don't, Mugo pines
the woods kind of takes away a lot of the energy from any kind of plantings.
So it's a little too shady back in that area.
It does get sun in the afternoon.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, pines like full sun, but, they're also usually tough enough that they can handle, a half a day of sun, or a half a day of shade is maybe a better way to put it.
Well, the only shade they get is in the morning. So by late morning, they have sun.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, and see, that should be enough sunlight, enough light for them. When you say you're losing them, do they brown right up, or how does...
They turn brown and lose, and the needles fall off. Or a lot of the edges are just brown on all the plants.
Uh-huh. You don't have, you don't think it could be like scale or anything that could be affecting them? Sometimes scale insects are on Mugo pine, and they kind of suck the energy out of. They're on the stems, and of course then you can usually, if you look up close, it'll look just like white scales on them.
Like silver, like the needles get silvery.
Yes.
Yes, I think that may be the issue.
Uh-huh. Well, so you have some survivors there yet right now?
I do.
Okay. So what's actually happening is, what's actually happening is they have the scale, and of course then when you plant new ones, then they're getting that scale, and that's why it takes them a year or 2 before they succumb to the same problem. So right now, actually, is a great time to spray. Use a dormant oil on them, a dormant oil on pines, and like you said, you'll get that silvery needle to them, and that'll kill off that scale. It's basically what you're doing is suffocating the insects.
Right.
And they're just tiny, tiny insects that are sucking the energy, and once they do that, they're not allowing the sap, let's just call it, the nutrients to flow from the root system through the branches into the needles. And I'm about 98% sure that's probably what your problem is. Mm-hmm. So, and you can still do dormant oil spraying, but this is kind of the last week to do it. So, I don't know if you happen to have any on the shelf in the garage.
No, I don't keep chemicals in the.
And what's nice about dormant oil is it's actually an organic product. It isn't really a bad chemical to have around. It's insecticidal soap, anything like that, because all that does is it's more like a sealer, and it just suffocates those insects. It doesn't necessarily kill them, so to speak, but it will, and if you...
So insecticidal soap would work?
Yes. If you have some of that around, that would work
I have
too.
I have some of that. I do have some insecticidal
Because a lot
soap.
of people, have that for house plants,
Right. That's why I had it, but I mean, it's older, but it's still there. So
Oh, that doesn't matter. It could be 20 years old and still work.
Oil's
Okay,
oil,
so
Oil is oil, yeah.
pretty much.
go out and spray it with
Except when you're putting it
insecticidal
in your
soap.
car.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Well,
So go ahead and do. I mean, it's actually a perfect day here today. It's supposed to, get down to and freeze overnight again, and and we might get some precipitation. So you might want to do it if we do get a lot of rain. Go ahead and do it again on Tuesday, but I would do it today, and then if a little rain won't wash it all off, but I would still do it today, and then maybe plan on doing it again Tuesday, because then you're done for this year. Mm-hmm. But no, I think that's the problem. So that's actually one of the easiest problems to solve. Mm-hmm.
Well, great. I mean, wonderful. I mean,
if you put it on and it's too warm out, you're going to be choking the plant because the plant is wanting to grow.
Right. And that's why doing it right now would be ideal.
I have done it when it's a little warm, but in a couple of hours, then I've washed it off, and they're dead. They're all gone. It doesn't take much.
Mm-hmm. So.
All right.
Alrighty.
Well, great.
Thanks for the call. We appreciate that. And lines are now open. 923-1450, 1-888-900-1450. Online, KFIZ Studio at gmail.com. So
what is timely question.
What is scale? Is that it's a bug type, or
it's an insect? Yeah,
it is. I had never heard of that one.
But they're so tiny, and then they just basically attach themselves to the stems, not really the bark of a tree, but
on the needles.
Yeah, right on the needles or on the stems. But on Mugo pine or a lot of pines, they go right after. They're right on the needles.
Wow. They're only about as wide as the needle and a little over 1/8 of an inch long. Just little white things.
Tiny little things. Mm-hmm. So they would be visible if you had them. If you did some searching, you could see them.
Yeah, and you wouldn't really need a magnifying glass.
Oh, not at all.
You got to look close, but so from 10 feet away, you can't really see them. But if you look up close, you'll definitely see them. And right now is the best time would have been a week ago. The second best time is this week.
Well, timing is everything. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, I got a question. Tulips, they popped out about 2.5 weeks ago. But how much cold can they take? Because it's supposed to get down to 21 Monday night. Do you do anything for them or just let them go?
Tulips.
Yeah.
Tulips, yeah.
What is the question on tulips, though? I'm sorry, I don't have earphones.
I can kind of repeat it. He's basically was just asking if the cold temperatures. I mean, it's supposed to get down, into the
27 tonight.
Yeah, and then
21 Monday night or whatever.
Yeah, and then Monday night again, 19, 20, 21.
Well, the tips of the tulip leaves might get frosted, but if the bud is not showing, you'll be okay. I would maybe put a cardboard box over it and a rock to secure them overnight, so that they don't get frosted, especially the buds.
They're not that far yet, but okay. I was just wondering because they get snowed out and everything, and they keep going. Yeah,
and my tulips and daffodils are, they're just up an inch or two right now. And, so they're
safe.
They're safe. They'll be okay. They're going to survive. You'll still get, if this happens in a couple weeks, because come next weekend, they're going to be up a lot further.
Mm-hmm. Those
these are about 2-3 inches up, but there's no stem yet or anything.
Yeah, yours are exactly the way mine are. I just looked at mine this morning. I kind of look at some of those things on Fridays and Saturdays because I know we're going to get some questions on it. So yours are at the same stage as mine are, and they'll be okay.
Yep, they must have something different that they don't freeze like other things, but they're working good. So thank you.
All righty, and we thank you for the call. Lines open again, 923-1450, 1-888-900-1450. It's amazing how some of these early spring things are capable of surviving.
Not me. I wouldn't want to be out there.
Well, you're not budding yet. 923-1450. Again, email it's KFIZstudio@gmail.com. Step one, doable?
Yeah, you're going to want to get on to step one here real quick right now because the grass is going to start greening up.
Yeah. You were around the studio here. I was walking outside before, and it's getting green.
Mm-hmm.
And my ornamentals are starting to come.
And if you have like ornamental grasses, Carl Forster reed grass or blue stems, anything like that, you want to get those cut down right now.
Right.
Because the ornamental grasses are going to start growing this coming week, and then you don't want the dried up foliage and seed heads from last year interfering with this year's plants. So
Well, I took your advice last Saturday when I got home from here. I cut them all
Mowed 'em off.
Mowed 'em- and there was a lot of green in there already.
yeah.
So, morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, I was wondering, can a peony bush be transplanted in spring?
The question, Doris, is can a peony bush be transplanted in spring?
It's better to transplant in the fall, but if you transplant in the spring, you might not get a blossom.
Yeah, I think if you'd want to do it like immediately,
Right.
because if they're probably emerging right now, maybe they're up an inch or two, but if they're up 4, 5, 6 inches, then I would say it's actually too late.
Right. The
But-
nurseries will have roots right now. And yes, you want to get them right in the ground. You don't wait till fall to do that. But you might not get a bloom this year.
Yeah, you're disturbing them right when they're trying to develop.
Right.
But if it has to be moved, I would do it right away. Do it this coming week, or today's a nice day.
Okay, thank you.
All right, appreciate the call. 923-1450, 1-888-900-1450. They're open. They're available. Give us a ringy-dingy. 1 ringy-dingy, 2 ringy-dingy, for those old enough.
Well, and again, peonies are it's better to do them in the fall, but sometimes you have to do them. You don't want to wait all the way till October. Then you do have to do it right now. And if it's but 2 weeks from now will be too late,
Right.
because then they'll be up 4, 5, 6, 7 inches,
Right.
and then you could actually lose them.
Right.
Then
When I had an abundance of peonies, I dug them for our annual plant sale in May, and the plants did just fine. They would be about 8 inches tall by the time the plant sale came around, and they were very nice, hardy plants.
Okay, so do it now. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Thank you. I would like to know where in Fond du Lac I can have my lopper sharpened.
where can you have your loppers sharpened? That's a good question.
A very good question.
I know there's a place in town that sharpens scissors, and I would think that would be good too. So maybe if you Google that, you will, scissor sharpening, blade sharpening, Fond du Lac, something like that.
Yeah, or if anybody, that's kind of a great question to just throw out there on the air. And if
Right.
anybody knows of a place in the Fond du Lac area that does sharpen pruning tools, I guess give us a call and enlighten us. It's
And
a
one
great
of,
question.
maybe one of the nurseries has a contact that they use.
Yeah, I don't know if a place like, I think I would maybe go to a garden center such
Right.
as Stewart's, or maybe Hensey Floral or
Or Hounsel's. One of-
Hounsel's, a
Right.
place like that I would.
They
that
sell
would-
shrubs.
And Stewart's, they definitely do.
Oh.
They do trimming and
Right.
maintenance of plants. So I'm sure they sharpen their pruning shears and loppers. So I would say I would probably go to Stewart's and ask them but if anybody else has any ideas, give us a call.
Right.
Okay, thank you for the ideas.
And I'll tell you what, if we had awards for question of the day, you'd probably win it today.
Oh, well, thank you.
but we don't have an award, so you get an attaboy. That's it.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks for the call. 923-1450, 1-888-900-1450. That is really a good question because I got stuff galore. Personally, that needs sharpening. When I was cutting down those ornamental grasses, hello?
Yeah.
It's getting that time of year to start spraying your fruit trees too. And what I do naturally, I use diatomaceous earth around my fruit trees. And when the temperatures get about 50, those insects start emerging from the soil, and you want to get those babies.
Because they're hungry.
Yes. And so I use diatomaceous earth, and I follow the same schedule as they do for spraying. And it's spread around the tree and about 2 feet out from the drip line. If you have a lot of wind, you want to go further out on that side. I have prevailing westerly, so I go out about 10 feet.
Oh.
And when it's 50 and about 6 weeks later, and close to 4th of July, and close to Labor Day, and then in the fall when those temperatures start dropping down to 50 again.
All righty. Let's grab a call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, I just wanted to say you can take your loppers, your pruners, and anything you want to Bob's Engine, and they will sharpen it for you.
Really?
Bob's Small
Yeah.
Engine, sure.
Well, yeah, they sharpen mower blades.
Right.
Now that you mention it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they do it.
Sure, that's a great suggestion.
Thank you. Appreciate the call. 923-1450. We had another call coming in that dropped off. Give us a call. In the meantime, we'll take break number 2.
So yeah, she mentioned Bob's Small Engine Shop.
Right,
That's where they do lawnmower repair.
Mine's there right now.
String trimmers, summerizing, winterizing, everything you need. So, okay. Rademann's, again, not open today. I'm hoping we're open next Saturday. We'll find out. Otherwise, Monday through Friday till 4 o'clock.
All righty. We have a caller on hold we'll get to as soon as we're done with the break. And just as simple as that, we are back. KFIZ News Time, 842. You're listening to Landscape Smart, brought to you by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. 923-1450. Online, KFIZ Studio at gmail.com. We have a caller. Thanks for waiting. You're on the air.
Yes, I have an area that I want to make a perennials bed in. There's some grass in there. I would like to know when would be the appropriate time to apply grass and weed killer, and then once I apply it, how long do I have to wait before I can put something in that area?
Is it like grass in that area, or are there more like a lot of broadleaf weeds too, dandelions and things like that, or is it just mostly grass that's there?
Yeah, it's mostly grass.
Is it real heavy planting or just sparse?
Well, in some of the areas it's sparse, but there is an area that is heavy that I want to expand it to.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we're actually we're coming up on a real good time there. I would maybe wait about a week, and then I would spray cleanup on it. And we have cleanup available out at Rademann's in a couple different ways. You can either mix it up, it's available in concentrate, or you can buy it, we have it ready to spray also. So depending on how big of an area you have, that would depend on how you'd want to actually do it. But cleanup will kill that grass. You'll have to wait about 10 days, and then you can because it's got to work its way through the foliage. You're spraying it on the green leaves, and then it works its way down into the roots and kills it out from the root. And you might have to even do a second application. You could, depending on how thick it is, like Delores said, if it's real thick and you've got like some grass beneath the grass that you're spraying, so sometimes it takes a second application. So I would plan on spraying it, maybe next weekend, next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, something like that. and then wait about a week, do a second application, and then after about 10 days after that second application, then you could go ahead and work it up and do your plantings.
Okay.
So
Sounds great.
For
Thank
those
you.
of us who like to do things more organically, if you want to do his cleanup, that's great. But then I like to put down cardboard and mulch and plant in the cardboard, and that helps you ensure that nothing will grow there this year. And it does deteriorate after time, and so it's not there forever like plastic or blocking cloth.
But yeah, if you use like everybody's got more cardboard boxes or corrugated board.
Right, exactly.
Not
Yep.
cardboard, but corrugated board than what they need these days. And, so you open up those boxes and you could, cut yourself X's or circles in there.
Right.
And then go ahead and plant your
And put your
perennials.
mulch over the
And then
cardboard
put the
to hold
mulch.
it down.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. That's very helpful.
All right. Thanks for the call. 923-1450. The line is now open. And again, as a reminder, we can only handle one call at a time. If we have somebody on the air, don't have the capability of answering a call and putting you on hold. So when somebody's done talking and we push the off button, it's your chance to become the on button. I've come to the conclusion over these last few weeks here with you guys, spring is really busy. Because along with everything else, you got windows to wash and houses to rinse off, and
It never ends.
it never ends. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Someone earlier was looking for a good sharpening place, and places AS&T in St. Killian, Wisconsin. They sharpen just about anything.
Really?
Yep.
AS&T. So they're out on St. Killian. There you're going to be more in the south or
of
south.
Fond du Lac.
Yeah, it's out towards Campbellsport, out in that neck of the woods.
Oh,
But they do a great job. So if someone's interested, the phone number is 262-626-4410.
All righty. You got it all down, Pat. Thanks much. Now we got
Yeah,
some
thanks.
options.
Well, and we get people that are listening from, out that way that could be way closer to St. Killian than they are to Fond du Lac, too. So,
Absolutely.
So, yeah, if we have, any of these outlying areas, that works fine, too. So AS&T and St. Killian.
World's greatest listeners. They have the answers that you guys
That we
don't have.
don't.
Yeah.
Well, we do now.
We do now, yeah. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. What is the best time to put preen down?
Right now.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to put preen down right away here now, because preen is a pre-emergent herbicide, and what that means is it prevents new weeds from germinating and growing. And so if you put it down right now, it'll do a great job. If you wait a month and put it down, it only do half of its job. So yeah, go ahead and put your preen down anytime here now.
Right.
And in this case, almost and when we say the sooner the better, it's always, if you can't do it today or tomorrow, next Thursday or Friday is still better than a week from Thursday or Friday.
Especially for crabgrass.
Yeah, well, if you got, because preen will prevent crabgrass from germinating. So if you have crabgrass or anything like that, and dandelions that have seeded out and
Right.
going to be regrowing into your perennial beds and things like that.
But preen only works for a certain amount of time, and if there's crabgrass seeds there, they'll come up after that. So it's about
there's two. There's kind of preen A and preen B these days now, and you're better off, with that longer one will last 3 to 4 months, the extended release preen, and if it lasts 3 to 4 months, well, that's ideal.
That's pretty close.
Because if you're putting it down here in mid-April, that covers you all the way into August.
Right.
So, the one that the original preen that's only good for 6 weeks, you're going to be there you're putting it down and then you're reapplying it a second time. So you're going to pay more for the extended release preen, but
it's worth it.
But it lasts
right
2 to 3 times longer it's a little more expensive, but it saves you money in the long run.
And time.
And time.
That's equally as important these days. Ed sent an email or a Gmail, and he would like you to please repeat what to spray on the ground around apple trees to kill the emerging insects.
Well, Delores mentioned diatomaceous earth, and what diatomaceous earth does is it goes after those insects that are soil, hatching and coming out of the soil.
Right.
So there's, and what's nice about diatomaceous earth is it actually, you're not spraying it on your fruit. You're not spraying it on the tree. You're putting it on the ground.
It's not a poison to us or to pets. They put it in pet food for parasites in their body.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's 100% organic material. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So
let's take our final break while we wait for our next calls.
So I think we may be sold out of diatomaceous earth, because I was talking to Brock about it actually literally yesterday. So we've got some more coming in, but we're probably, it might be a week away yet. So I don't know if we're sold out completely or just sold down. So before you drive out to Rademann's, give them a call.
Be right back. And we are back. KFIZ News Time, 8:54. If you're going to send a Gmail or email to us, kfizstudio@gmail.com. Final moments for that. Line is open right now, 923-1450, 1-888-900-1450. It's amazing how fast this hour flew.
Well, we had like back to back to back. People were listening to you, Jerry. As soon as somebody we finished up, there was another one right there to fill the gap. So
if you got a question, now's the time to call.
So yeah, we will. Let's just. We did get that email through late last Saturday, and her question, Lori's question, was: is it too late to trim back clematis? And so there too, it's we're at a good time to trim most anything here yet right now. So definitely not too late to trim back clematis. Another thing we should mention is if you're tuning in late like this and you missed the first half or 2/3 of the show, you can go back on and go on YouTube and search Landscape Smart 25, and you'll see past episodes from this year or last year for that matter too, if you search Landscape Smart 24. And actually at KFIZ too, on demand.
Mm-hmm.
You can go back and listen to past episodes. So if you oversleep a little, or you're out working in the garden so early and you forget what time it is, you can go back and listen to us either on demand on KFIZ or on YouTube.
All right.
So,
got a caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I'm wondering, on the west side of my house in front of my picture window, I've got a piece of dirt. It's probably about 10 feet long and about 4 feet wide. And I was wondering, I want to plant some annual flowers. Is there any kind of a fertilizer maybe a person should put on now a couple of weeks ahead of time, just sprinkle it on over the top so that when I want to plant the flowers, I can kind of work it in and go ahead, or like a 10-10-10 or something like that?
Well, there's what you want to actually. There's some great fertilizers that you can incorporate into the soil that that will time release over the course of 2 or 3, 4 months of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And out at Rademann's, we actually have it's called lawn starter fertilizer at Rademann's. We don't have 20 different products that basically all do the same thing. We have a couple products that all do the same thing, but in this case, it's called lawn starter fertilizer, and it's a good balanced fertilizer. It's got phosphorus and potash, and of course nitrogen in it too. And I would use that. Spread that out, and we have it in different size bags too. There's so you could get a smaller bag. You're not going to need a lot for a 4x10 area, and or there's good shelf life on it too. You could buy a bag and use some this year and some next year, because as long as you keep it in the bag, it'll last for 3 or 4 months, next year too. So typically I would probably get the size bag that's good for this year and next year, and then I would save myself the energy of going back and shopping again next year.
Yeah,
but
I've got some in the garage. I've got some 10-10-10, and I've got some 20-20-20 in the garage, some fertilizer, the regular crystals, that I got a little bit left yet. I wanted to try to use that up, if that would be okay for this year.
That would be okay. Again, it's a good balance, because what you want especially if you're planting annual flowers, is you want that phosphorus and potash. Otherwise, if you use more of a lawn fertilizer, you're going to get a lot of foliage and
not
no
as many flowers.
And no flowers. You'll get a lot of greenery. So a 10-10-10 would be good, and or obviously the 20-20-20 would work, and you'd use half as much because you're getting the and 20-20-20 at this time of year would probably be okay too. You want to be a little careful using something with 20% nitrogen as we get into the summer months when it starts getting warm.
Right.
But I would use the 20-20-20 now, and the 10-10-10 later on if they need another little boost.
Yeah, that's what I've got. I've just got some.
Well, if it's crystals, you want to make sure you dissolve it in water.
All right. Unfortunately, I got to cut you off. We are at the end of the rope for the show this week. Thank you for the call, though.
Yep. So Rademann's, again, not open today, Monday through Friday till 4 o'clock, just 3 miles south of Fond du Lac, and then east on County B, about a quarter mile. We're right there at the crest of the hill.
All righty. Our thanks to you for your calls. Our thanks to Ron. Our thanks to Master Gardener Delores. And we will be back with another edition next Saturday morning, KFIZ Fond du Lac at 9 o'clock.